The UFC is back this weekend. We've got Fight Night Sandhagen versus Figueiredo, and I am here to break down the entire card starting from the bottom, going to the top. We're going to do the early prelims first and then move up to the main event. And then we will go into a breakdown of how we've been doing this year so far. We had a pretty good week last week on the channel. Just keep doing things very well. We keep getting picks good, but we're just not hitting main events for some reason. But I have a massive feeling that's going to change on this card. Anyways, let's get into the first fight of the evening. Although women's fights have been great lately. Here you go, though. What you've all been waiting for. We've got... I mean, she's lost by finishes, so... You know... it's decisions. I mean, you know, it is what it is. We'll just stick with that. Moving into the first fight of the evening, and fight might honestly be pushing it with this one as well. We've got Don'Tale Mayes versus Thomas Peterson, two not-so-great heavyweights where I feel like, you know, sadly, if I blew up to 265 pounds and just became a fucking blob myself and had cardio, I could beat these guys. It's sad. They genuinely make you feel like you could step up and do this shit rather than them, and at a better level than them. But yeah, I don't know. I genuinely don't know who to pick in this fight. They're both terrible fighters. You've got Don'Tale Mayes, who loses to anybody who is even halfway solid, and then Thomas Peterson, who also just lost to Jamal Pose within the last year and some change. This almost might as well be a coin flip fight. Like, I almost want to just flip the coin for this too, but you know, we'll go with technical analysis here. Don'Tale Mayes has fought the higher level fighters, you know, and actually he has actually won in the UFC, other than, you know, Thomas Peterson's one fight against Mo Usman, who is terrible. That's the only fight he's won in the UFC. Now, he did get a finish in Contender Series, but that almost means nothing to me. I've got Don'Tale Mayes by decision. I don't know why, like, why Peterson's such a heavy favorite on here. And in betting odds. I mean, maybe they know something. Maybe they know that he'll push the pace or something. I genuinely am not sure. They're terrible fighters. Mayes has the height and reach advantage. He is god-awful, though. You know what? I'm going to pick Thomas Peterson to out-grapple Don'Tale Mayes. Every time I flip picks, it always turns out bad, so pick Don'Tale Mayes just as a heads up. Moving on to the bantamweight division, we've got Gaston Bolaños versus Quang Lee. I do not pick Asian dudes that aren't South Korean outside of Ming Yang Zhang, because he was fighting Anthony Smith. Those are just two losses you don't want. He lost to another non-South Korean Asian, and Chris Gutierrez. I'm going to be picking Gaston Bolaños. I don't know if I've ever seen this dude fight in my life. He got TKO'd by Marcus McGee. That's kind of crazy. I don't remember seeing him other than him kind of looking like Ilya, but I have a feeling he'll get the job done. He typically wins by decision, I guess, so that's what we'll go with. I'm not going to think too hard about this one. Most Asian dudes that are not South Korean genuinely are terrible fighters, and the UFC had to make a whole new program to even get them into the UFC. So we're going to just not pick them ever. A good old coin flip fight. Okay, let's go on with Jillian Robertson by... She couldn't finish. She couldn't sub Panera. You survived the ground with Amanda Limosh. Or, not the ground, Verna Jandarova. Yeah, I think it'll be a decision. Yeah. 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 This is a decision. This is a decision kind of fight. Moving on to the next fight, sadly, because that will probably be the one, like, boring female fight on this card, and honestly, they've been solid lately. I mean, the Miesha Tate one's probably going to be boring, too, to be fair, actually. There's only been, like, one bad women's fight in the past, like, I want to say 6 or so cards, which has been super surprising, and it's been a pleasant surprise, honestly, because normally they're dog shit. Speaking of dog shit, Ryan Loder is a fighter in the UFC, and I can't stand him. I hate this man. I want nothing good for him, so I'm picking Azamat Bakoyev just because I don't like Ryan Loder. Bakoyev did have a pretty good debut against Zachary Reese, who we're finding out. Pretty technical fighter, just no chin and no brain. He chooses to stay in bad positions when dangerous opponents are on top of him, when he had been doing good on the feet. Enough about Zach Reese, though. Bakoyev looked solid in the fight. Wasn't quite as explosive as he probably should have been, but Ryan Loder's not an explosive man either. I believe Bakoyev has a grappling background in some way, shape, or form. I mean, he's from Russia. Who knows? Probably combat sambo. Don't ever think this one. I'm going Ryan Loder, or not Ryan Loder. I'm going Bakoyev to knock out Ryan Loder by second round knockout. I think Bakoyev's gonna just be able to stop the takedowns and really punish Ryan Loder for standing with him at all. At least I hope it's the case. We're gonna go first round knockout. Hopefully they get this fight over with quickly. Speaking of fights we get over with quickly, we move to Miesha Tate and Yana Santos. The coin says that the favorite will win. You know, this is a fight that could have happened 6 years ago and nobody would have cared. And now it's happening in 2025. So, what a wonderful fight. We'll pick that Miesha Tate gets it done by submission. Or not submission, decision. Boring. Miesha Tate, terrible decision. Moving on to the main card, I think it is now. Yeah. Jeremy Stephens versus Mason Jones. We're going to be in the lightweight division. Mason Jones, a solid fighter who got cut, if I'm remembering right, off of like 1, maybe 2 losses in the UFC, but then went on the regional scene and just like blew through his opponents. Like absolutely cut through them. Finished all of them except 1. And now we've got Jeremy Stephens coming back to the UFC after some time off. Although being in BKFC and everything, watching those fights were awesome. Jeremy Stephens is always fun to watch. He's going to come try to kill Mason Jones, and if he doesn't kill Mason Jones is going to kill him. I think it's going to be a first-round TKO by Mason Jones. I think he's going to get Jeremy Stephens down to the ground and batter him. And Mason Jones can take a shot. Scylla, will you stop? Anyways, like I said, I've got Mason Jones winning by round 1 TKO KO. I think he's going to end up battering Jeremy Stephens. It might go into round 2. Stephens is typically pretty tough and hard to finish, but he is finishable. Moving to Cameron Smotherman versus Sergey City. Or Sergey City. I don't know. That just people are really rating this Jake Hadley win for Cameron Smotherman, and it was a very tough fight for him. I'm not a fan of Sergey City. I don't think he's a good fighter. For beating Ramon Tavares and then losing by a bullshit decision, mind you, but losing to Ramon Tavares is just not. It shouldn't be competitive enough to lose to him. He's not a good fighter, at all. Um, Smotherman may be able to push the pace and take it to City, but I think City does a good job of fighting taller, and he is taller than his opponent. I'm going to be picking City to win this actually by decision. You know what? Actually, we're going to go that he finishes Cameron Smotherman. I'm going to pick that Serhi City finishes Cameron Smotherman, second round TKO. I think Smotherman's going to be too small and not be able to break the range of City. I may be mistaken. City's not a great fighter, like I said. This is one that I wouldn't count on it happening, but he does do a decent job of maintaining range, and I think that'll be a problem for someone like Cameron Smotherman. He is kind of small for the weight class. Staying in the bantamweight division, we've got Montel Jackson versus Daniel Marcos. I really like Montel Jackson in this fight. His straight shots are going to be an actual problem for Daniel Marcos, who is undefeated though. Although I'm pretty sure he had a fight with Davey Grant that probably should have went to Davey Grant. Having a close fight with Adrian Yanez is not a bad thing. He's a very good prospect, and if he could tune some things, I could see that kid being very, very good. But beating him that's a good little feather in your cap. But Montel Jackson knocking out Damon Blackshear in his last fight is awesome for him. Like, it's aging very well. Montel Jackson looks like he is going to be a problem for this division, as well as Damon Blackshear. Blackshear's been very good since losing to Montel, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna pick Montel Jackson. I don't know that he's gonna get one of these knockouts like he's been getting recently. I feel like Marcos is pretty tough. If anything, if he's getting a finish, I feel like it'll be late round 2, maybe early round 3. I might be wrong, though. He might just have the power right off the rip. He is a big bantamweight, if I'm remembering right. But I'm going to pick Montel Jackson by third round stoppage. I think his power will be his power, straight shots, and footwork are just going to be a little too much for Marcos. Moving on to one of the UNC matchups we've got here. Daniel Rodriguez being the favorite. That's kind of crazy. I don't think that should be the case. Santiago Ponzinibbio is the better fighter of these two. He always has been. He always, I think, will be. He's not a great fighter by any means, but he was a top 10 level welterweight, which D-Rod has never been something like that. D-Rod's like one of these dudes who has decent hands and can scrap a little bit, but Santiago Ponzinibbio is he's a good enough dude. He has actual footwork. He uses jabs. He circles, will kick at range if he needs to. He can lose a round and then come back and win. Whereas D-Rod, once he's out of the fight and you figured him out, it's over. I'm going to be picking Santiago Ponzinibbio by round 2 knockout. I think that his normal game is just too much for D-Rod, and even if he doesn't just stand with D-Rod, he can take him down. D-Rod has dog shit takedown defense. He has dog shit grappling. But anyways, Ponzinibbio by round 2 knockout. I think that he's just the much more well-rounded fighter and better fighter in every single area outside of maybe the boxing itself. But I just don't see where D-Rod can win this fight outside of standing up with him, and that even there, I feel like the advantage goes to Ponzinibbio because he actually uses footwork. If anything happens to him, it's probably because he's a little bit older, but he fights old already, and he's been doing good at it. Moving on to the co-main event, we've got Bo Nickal and Rainer de Ridder. I am excited to see this fight because I want to see where Bo Nickal's progression has gotten to. The last time that he fought, been very critical about him. I've not been a fan of Bo Nickal's past couple of fights because I think he should be much more improved than he looks. I am looking for that in this fight too. He needs to take a massive step up, and I believe that's what he's going to have done. I think that Bo Nickal will win his fight against Rainer de Ridder. I think he's going to be more dangerous than he was in the Paul Craig fight, because Rainer de Ridder is one of those guys who will just lay there and let you beat him up. Like Paul Craig is too, but I think Bo Nickal's going to have learned from that experience. Hopefully. Jesus, hopefully he learned from that. But to be more aggressive at some of these times where you can afford it. You're the wrestler. Paul Craig's not going to take you down. Paul Craig's not going to hurt you with boxing. He's terrible. His ground game is the only thing that's any good. That fight is kind of resembling this fight. Rainer de Ridder's striking is not good. In the slightest. It is not good. Bo Nickal, his striking isn't good, but he at least does the old wrestler combination of like hunch low, maybe like pump out a jab to the body and then wing an overhand as he's acting like he's going to try to take you down. I think that's going to work against Rainer de Ridder. And I think that shot is going to knock out Rainer de Ridder. And I actually think it's going to be very early into the fight. I think that Bo Nickal's going to be tentative maybe early on, throw a couple kicks out there, try to find some range, and then he's going to eventually land that big shot in the first round. I think Bo Nickal's going to have a good performance, and people are going to be genuinely surprised as to the step up that it looks like he took at least. I've got weird confidence in Bo Nickal. Like, this is weird. I normally don't like him at all like this, but I think he gets the finish in this fight. Watching back some of the ONE FC fights from Rainer de Ridder, like the ones where he fought Anatoly, like, if that was his name. Big heavyweight and light heavyweight champ, I think. Rainer de Ridder just kind of laid there and let him beat him up. I see that same thing happening for Bo Nickal. Like, I just don't think that Rainer de Ridder will try as hard as he can to win. I don't know. It's weird. He just doesn't feel like he's that great either. Gerald Meerschaert was piecing him up on the feet, to be fair. Looked a lot quicker, too. That's why I think that Bo Nickal is going to be a very bad challenge for Rainer de Ridder. Anyways, we've got Bo Nickal. I think it was by round 1 KO. Yeah, round 1 KO. Moving to the main event of the evening, we've got Corey Sandhagen versus Davidson Figueiredo. I'm going to be going with Corey Sandhagen, I believe. He's very good at fighting at range. And although Figueiredo's picked up his pace a little more now at bantamweight, I've never liked his volume. I've always thought that his volume it needs to double for him to be the fighter that he could be. And he would be a real problem if he just doubled his output, but I don't know if he can because of the power that he throws with. I don't see him getting Sandhagen down to the ground. I don't see him knocking out Corey Sandhagen. I see Corey Sandhagen throwing big, or not big, throwing from the outside until he pisses off Figueiredo enough while using good footwork to just annoy him, frustrate him, make mistakes, and then try to lead him into something big like a flying knee like he did with Frankie Edgar, like a wheel kick like he did with Marlon Moraes. There's been a couple that he's done that with. Like, I think he landed a flying knee to the body on TJ Dillashaw into a flying triangle, which was pretty cool. And I think it was like an inverted flying triangle when he landed. Sandhagen's very creative. I think he's going to try to make a statement with this fight over Figueiredo. Figueiredo is old. People are not realizing this man's 37 years old at bantamweight. You slow down very quick in these small weight classes when you hit that 35, 36 range. Figueiredo going up in weight was smart for him. This is now what? Was that bantamweight? Yeah, that was bantamweight. Bantamweight. This is going to be his 5th fight up at bantamweight. I think that speed advantage is going to have been gone now. I think Corey Sandhagen is going to get a late round finish. I think he's going to land something spectacular in the later rounds after trying to set it up the whole fight. Maybe round 3. We're going to go with round 3 finish. I don't think it makes it to round 4. If it does, it's going to be a decision if it makes it to round 4. I think that Sandhagen's going to be leading Figueiredo into a lot of his big strikes. Figueiredo does fall victim into following a lot rather than trapping you and cutting you off. He will follow you. That plays right into Corey's old game of how he used to lead you into big things like that. But, yeah, round 3 knockout for this fight. We'll reopen the card and go back over it. We've got a round 3 KO by Sandhagen. Bo Nickal by round 1 KO. Ponzinibbio by round 2 KO. Maybe that one's a bit pushing it. Maybe we should pick decision. Round 3 for Montel Jackson. That one I think should probably be a first round finish, but something's just bringing it out to me that it's going to be a third. Sergey City to finish Cameron Smotherman by knockout. Got a lot of knockouts on this card. Maybe I should go submission somewhere on it, but, you know, I'm just very knockout heavy this card, I guess. We've got, Mason Jones winning by knockout. Miesha Tate by decision. We got some decisions on the card, I guess. Maybe she could win by submission as well. Yana, okay, maybe not. I'm not really sure, honestly. Yana Santos is terrible, to be fair. Azamat Bokoyev, I've got him by KO against Ryan Loder. That's just a hatred of Ryan Loder. He's a terrible fighter. I don't like him. Marina Rodriguez, the queen, was like, you're not winning today, bitch. Gaston Bolaños, we've got by decision. Jordan Peterson. Leave me alone. Thomas Peterson by decision. It's a terrible fight. And then, speaking of terrible fights, we have a girl who won the Ultimate Fighter somehow, and she's 3-3 in her career. Yeah. Decision. These are my 5 picks. Follow them or don't. I don't care. We've been doing pretty solid on the year, though. So we'll go to where are we going? We'll go to the main channel. We're up to 62% down from where we were, but some of the other fight promotions are fucking with my picks. We went 10 for 14 on the Ian Gary versus Prates card, and I'll slowly go back over it. We had Prates by KO. Ian Gary beating him. Looked very good in the stand-up. He outclassed Carlos Prates the entire fight up until the last 2 rounds, and I was so ashamed of that. I hated it. I hated every second of it. It had me crashing out, screaming at my monitor, yelling for Prates to do something, especially when he had hurt Ian Gary and then watched him crawl on all 4s to the cage rather than landing a couple more strikes that would have easily finished the fight. Ming Yang Zhang retiring Anthony Smith was hilarious. Amazing moments. Anthony Smith did his signature move, the turtle up like an armadillo or a turtle. Anthony Smith used withdrawal, and he is now retired. What a day, what a moment for that. David Onama, fraud checking Giga Chikadze, just absolutely exposing his dog shit wrestling. I I will never pick Chikadze against a well-rounded fighter again, even if they're decently well-rounded. A bus did not get fed a carrot by a Brazilian yet again. He is remaining undefeated against Brazilians. No, I'm just kidding. Caio Bajalio was able to beat him, but he's on a revenge tour against these Brazilians that have been trying to stick that carrot in his grill. But I had him by submission. He ends up getting a decision. Randy Brown, I picked to KO Nicholas Dalby in round 2, and holy shit, did Dalby was a good elf in this fight, bro. Like, he came forward, he was aggressive, he let himself get knocked out. Some guys, when they get hurt like that, and this is to Randy Brown's credit too, Randy Brown's the long-rangey guy. Normally, a long-rangey guy hurts a dude, they'll sit there and poke and prod at range afterward. Dalby was like, fuck that, I'm getting finished. I'm not letting you poke and prod me at range, and just bull rushed forward. Randy Brown met him in the middle. It was very Max Holloway-esque, if I'm remembering right. The shot came over the top, like right after a body shot. It was beautiful. Beautiful finish by Randy Brown. Hopefully he gets somebody up in the rankings now. Ikram Aliskerov finishing Andre Muniz by round 1 TKO. Muniz got hit by a weird left hook and was just done. I don't know what that was about. Another good pick, though. This women's fight was terrible. I don't know why these two women are in the UFC. Cut them immediately. They are terrible. Why are they here? Evan Elder beating Gage Young. Evan Elder had a very good performance. It was incredible. Looked like he wanted to harm his opponent, unlike a lot of other people on this card. Speaking of other people that didn't want to hurt each other on the card, Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. If I remember right, there was a moment where Gutierrez hurt Castaneda, and I was like, yeah, this dude's not going to finish him because he never tries. Never tries to finish his opponent. And when he went to the ground and followed up with a little bit of ground and pound, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Couldn't get the finish. Chris Gutierrez maintains his boring style. Damon Blackshear getting a good victory over Atangala. Hit him with a couple Pokeballs. Never captured him, but he did end up winning the fight. Malcolm Wellmaker destroying Cameron Simon. I knew that Cameron Simon's style would just lead him into shots from Wellmaker. Simon looked so fucking good early on, but there's a massive problem with him. He does not keep his feet under him while he is striking. He bull rushes forward and is tilted like this while he's coming forward, and you need to be under yourself while you're throwing these strikes, especially if you're going to be getting counter-struck. You need to be able to let them land on your shoulders and even on your chin and only move a little rather than you're out here and you get hit and you just completely whip down and practically die. Wellmaker looked really good. Hopefully he's on that Atlanta card coming up soon. He did call for it, and hopefully they'll give him a cool matchup, like a fun strikers matchup. Maybe somebody like Yanez. That would be awesome. Jacqueline Amorim versus Polyana Viana. This fight was awesome. What a great fight. Takedown immediately. They knew what we want. Jacqueline Amorim knew to take down Polyana Viana immediately, get her in these perfect positions, showed off some of the bunda. It was great. Not much of it, but, you know, they're 115-pound women. It is what it is. Beautiful, though. It was a great fight. Loved the performance, and Jacqueline Amorim actually looked good during the performance, to be fair. Timmy Kawamba beating Roberto Romero by a beating. Great fight, although it could have been stopped at a better time. Like, we could have waited on the stoppage. I get it, the flying knee landed, and it looked bad initially, but as soon as he landed and started moving, he was there. Fight shouldn't have been stopped. We should have had a little bit longer of a fight, but I think Timmy Kawamba was very much on his way to a stoppage. And then Jocelyn Edwards getting a KO in round 1 over Chelsea Chandler. Great fight. Card was overall really good. I think I'm going to start doing recaps on Sunday instead of when I'm doing my card review or preview. Anyways, that's how we've been doing. Like, subscribe, I don't give a fuck. Follow my picks. Hopefully, they'll do you some good. They've been doing me good lately. See you later.